Today we're going to talk about mediumship, what it is, and very importantly, what it is not. So maybe you yourself have some experiences that you're not quite sure about, or maybe you see people working as mediums and wish to know more about that. At the end of this video, you will have enough information to decide for yourself what's going on and to discern if it is really mediumship or not. My name is Daniel, and you're watching the Authentic Mediumship channel. What is mediumship? Mediumship is the ability to communicate with another dimension of this, our planet. That's more or less the official definition of mediumship in our modern Western mediumship. And we have to be very clear about that. Everything that I'm going to say is inside the framework of modern Western mediumship. Because in other cultures, they practice mediumship just as well, but it's considerably different according to their cultural context. Modern Western mediumship is the way mediumship is exercised in North America and Western Europe and Australia. It derives from the practices of spiritualism and spiritism, two religious movements that emerged in the 1850s. These two movements paved the way for mediumship practices that go beyond their limits, but are not always what we actually can call mediumship within this clear definition of being able to talk to another dimension, or to communicate to another dimension, or to have an energetic intercourse between another dimension and our dimension in this planet. The 1850s were very important in establishing new values on the occult and spiritual level. In the whole Western world, things were emerging, things were coming to the surface anew. Nothing new was coming, but in a new guise. So we have to understand as well that the mediumship that we are practicing is responding to the needs of modern society. The mediumship that we are delivering is catering to the individual within a community, and to the individual in a very rational sense, because we connect to family members, mainly, maybe also to spirit guides, and that corresponds with our very strict understanding of the world. While in other cultures they have deities, they have ghosts, they have all a kind of natural beings that we do not accept anymore. To understand the phenomena of mediumship, just as to understand life, we have to know, or maybe even accept, that life is multidimensional. The multidimensionality of life is what is not yet acknowledged in modern society, and thereby for many people hard to swallow. While in other cultures this is not the case. They totally accept that. Even every single dimension of this planet is multidimensional in itself. That is also very important to take into account when we talk about phenomena that look like mediumship but are not. In modern Western mediumship, evidential mediumship is considered as the centerpiece of our practice. That wasn't always the case. It started very much with physical phenomena, moving things around, wrappings, and other kind of phenomena like this. But evidential mediumship quite early on took its righteous role as the leading practice of modern mediumship, because it is very, very powerful. It touches the heart and it proves life after death. Of course, there's much more to it, but for the moment we will leave it like that. Physical phenomena may or may not be influenced by spirit, but great deal of physical phenomena is done through the psychic energy of the medium and its surroundings. Psychic energy is important to understand when we talk about mediumship, because psychic energy is the finer aspect of the expression of the human being in this dimension, not in another dimension. Psychic energy is what is needed to do mediumship. But you can use psychic energy on its own. For example, to move objects. When we talk about mediumship, when we talk about evidential mediumship, we mean the communication between two clearly defined dimensions. Our world, our consciousness, and the so-called spirit world, which is the place where we all go after the passing. In other words, where we continue our life. And that is a very small aspect of the spirit world, and very small aspect of the other dimensions on this planet. But this is the one and only place in other dimensions that we talk about when we talk about real, provable mediumship. Only that. Because through our practice of evidential mediumship, we can prove that. Without any doubt. And totally clear. And it's been proven day after day for hundreds and hundreds of mediums. Psychic phenomena are different. Psychic phenomena work entirely in this dimension. Channeling, a phenomenon mainly practiced in the United States and Canada, cannot be regarded as mediumship because it is not clear where the origins of the messages lie. Extraterrestrials, the same. Ascended Masters, Akasha Records, all these are fancy names for contents of the human mind, not contents of other dimensional wisdom. How can we see that? Very easy. Just look at what they talk about. Just look at what they're channeling. Just look at what they are doing. It is so obvious that most, if not all, of the channeled messages are nothing but a projection of the lifestyle, the fears, and the hopes of modern American society. Akasha Records may exist or not, but normally, if they are good, it's just a psychic reading, an auric reading. That's it, and then they call it Akasha Records. Ascended Masters surely exist, but do you think it's so easy to communicate to wisdom of a high master? No, you have to have the right consciousness. And the right consciousness requires spiritual development over years and centuries. Yes, centuries. So, a very, very important and very special aspect of our mediumship is the astral world. The astral world is the place between what we call spirit world and our dimension. It is an energetic realm where residues of human life is situated, and also origins of human life waiting to be touched by the creative force to enter into manifestation are situated. To tap into the astral world is an intermediate thing between psychic work and mediumship. So things, as always, are not clearly black and white. The astral world has lower realms and higher realms. To tap into the higher realms, again, you would have to be able to, through the prolonged developing of spiritual power. To tap into the lower realms of the astral world is super easy. You just take some drugs, or you have some bad day, and woof, if you're sensitive, you're there. But that's not mediumship. That's an extension of psychic ability to the lower realms of the astral world. Hearing voices. Another thing that is commonly attributed to mediumship is just hearing voices. It is an aspect of your disharmonized mind. It is not mediumship. But we as mediums, we hear voices, of course. But the difference between hearing these voices on a psychic level and hearing the voices on a mediumistic level is the quality of the content. And much more important, the quality of the energy. And here we come to the crucial point of how to understand what is mediumship. We have to feel it, which is not easy for a not or non-medium. But maybe it's possible, I don't know. I don't know it. But for anybody who's sensitive, it's possible to feel the energy of love, the energy of power, and the energy of support and evolutive direction that is part and parcel of true mediumship, which is not the case if you watch or experience most channelers or psychic readers. Here we come to an important point of this talk. Is it possible that you have seen a person that gives greatly accurate psychic readings, but claiming it's mediumship? Yes, that might be possible because they do this. Mediumship is always concerned with the spirit world to prove its authenticity. A medium that talks only about the sitter or this dimension might be a good psychic, but is actually not a medium. And thereby, evidential mediumship is the core practice to develop real mediumship, because we get no's and yeses. Everyone can be sure that you are connected because you cannot fake it. You cannot fake the accurate information. There is the opinion out there that this is also just a mind reading in the memory of the sitter. That is a very valuable opinion. But the point is that there is a complete different energetic structure, feeling, and emanation from a real mediumship reading and the psychic reading or a mind reading. It's so different. And you should be able to feel that. So, recognizing mediumship depends on your ability to open your heart to the healing power and love of the spirit world. If you watch it on a screen, it's not so easy. It's better to watch it live. But when you watch on the screen, you have to see what's going on. Are they talking about the spirit world? Are they talking about the communicator? Seeing visions, hearing voices. You yourself might have experience with that. Someone told you that this is mediumship because you're a medium. No. If what you see is destructive, if what you hear is destructive, it is not mediumship. It is an unhealthy and uncontrolled use of psychic abilities, and you tap into the lower astral world, into destructive mind content of yourself or your surroundings. And that is another clear distinction between the human mind in this dimension and the spirit world. The spirit world is never ever destructive. It cannot be. It's against their nature. You may ask, well, what about the bad people? That's a big question always. I tell you, they are in their place and they cannot communicate with a real medium. And if not, normally not even with a normal person, as problematic as the mind might be through the abuse of drugs or traumatic experiences, it's not so easy to communicate for the spirit world as well. But it's easy to tap into the lower astral because it's just here. And it's a children's play to tap into the mind of other people because the mind is floating around on an energetic level. Mediumship is an extension of the love of the soul. That is mediumship. Mediumship thereby emanates this love and this healing power wherever it appears. You can clearly see that when you see a medium working. You have to look at the person prior to the connection, during the connection, and after. It's different. Very different. I remember one day I was in England and saw a demonstration in a church, and the medium was not very nice. Not a nice person, right? That happens. That happens. And well, so what? He stepped into the power on the platform, and it was stunning to see how his whole demeanor and his whole appearance changed, and he became an embodiment of love and light. Well, of course, he was likable suddenly. After the beautiful demonstration that he was able to give, the power left his energy field, and right there on the platform he changed again to the not so nice person that he usually is. And that's mediumship. A real connection to a higher power that is available for everyone who's openly, willingly trying to connect. If you experience things or if you see things that are not imbued with this love and this power, it is not mediumship. Thank you for watching.